Welcome to Inside the Speakeasy podcast, the private room where today's sharpest founders, innovators, and renegade thinkers come to trade the ideas that move industries. This show is brought to you by High Level, the AI-driven business operating system trusted by over 2 million businesses to help automate, scale, and create real leverage. High Level isn't just a tool, it's the engine behind some of the most agile and high-performing teams on the planet. If you're ready to streamline everything, amplify your reach, and actually build a business that works for you, you're in the right place. Visit www.gohighlevel.com/speakeasy-mastermind-promo to get an exclusive 30-day trial for being a listener of the Inside the Speakeasy podcast. Enjoy the show. So are you out there doing a lot of one-on-ones, trying to just trade your time for money and just feeling more and more burnt out, wondering how the hell are you going to be able to leverage your time and scale faster? Well, you are in luck because today on Inside the Speakeasy podcast, I'm so excited to bring somebody who's helped over 1,700 business owners and practitioners, help them scale their business. She's worked with huge names, big success stories like Dr. Daniel Amen, Taylor Dukes, Dr. Amy Myers, Dr. Chris Kessler, and Dr. Sarah Gottfried on helping them scale their businesses. Welcome, my really good friend. So excited. I've been trying to lock you down for months, and she finally has some time for me today. Welcome, Join Houston.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I know we could have done this sooner, but Andrina likes to dominate my time when I'm with you, your little one. So,
No, I know. We come over, we just have fun, hang out. You're in San Diego, which I love, and we've been friends, you and your husband Travis. And God, we've had so many fun journeys together. But like, it's so cool to say we actually got to sit down and talk because every time we sit down and just rap, like, oh my God, nugget after nugget, it's just a firehouse back and forth. I'm like, Joy, we just got to get you on a podcast because you're just sharing with me. That's not fair to our community. You got to share this knowledge to everybody.
yeah, let's share it. Let's bring some knowledge bombs that help people make more money this year.
Yeah, let's do so. We're going to get into some cool stuff. We're going to talk about, I mean, the thing I love that you talk to me about all the time is really, and you guys are giving me some great tips on how people are having a hard time just getting out of the weeds of the one-on-one, how they could scale to build so many other products and programs to serve their clients, how to get more leads in of qualified people to just get rid of the free stuff, stop giving away free shit and actually do stuff that's going to make you money. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a couple fun personal hacks as well and some just latest tips you found from the last 12 months or so. So, let's get into a little bit. I know. And to the listener today, we're going to talk a lot about, I know Joy's done so much work in the practitioner space. So certainly if you're a health practitioner, you're going to love this. And if you're not, I want you to think in terms of applying the same principles to any business because these
Yeah.
principles do work. They work for me. We've talked about them a lot. It just happens to be, you've done the smart thing. It says, I'm going to take these things and niche down, which is a whole other topic we get into is the importance of niching, niches and the riches. And you've found a really good lane about these techniques with the practitioner space.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit about, you've done so much work at your company, Heal at Scale, and you've got an incredible book called Get Cash Pay Clients. Is that right? That's the book name?
Yep. Get cash pay clients.
Love it.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about, let's just start with the work you've been doing at Heal at Scale, just to give us a macro frame of really the problem that a lot of your clients have walked into. What are you seeing as the problem? And you're saying, okay, this is common. We're going to work together and I got the solution. Here's what it looks like.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a spoiler alert. Like the name of the company is Heal at Scale, right?
Mhm.
So we decided to niche down. It'll be 5 years this September. So we decided to niche down from a very wide agency, much like Branditize, serving all different types of clients. And then we started asking ourselves, like, who are the clients that we love the most? Like who makes us jump out of bed? We can't wait for those client meetings. Their wins have us popping bottles just as if they were our own personal wins. And it
Love
was all of the people who were in that health and wellness and moving humanity forward, like feeling better, looking better, having a
it.
brighter future, right? And so when we decided to niche down, that's how we made that decision. So for all of you who were listening to his hidden hint that you need to niche down, I will reveal that that's how we made the choice to niche down and serve people in the health and wellness space is because when we looked over all of our clients, they were the ones we loved the most. So that's a great place to look if you haven't niched down yet. So I'll start there.
And I love it. There's a gem there, Tim. And who's giving you the energy? Who do you love to talk about? Who's fired you up versus what we tend to do, Joy, as you know. So it's like, who's got the most money or who's got, who do you think's got the bigger dollars? And, ultimately you're going to be miserable.
Exactly. And it's that whole 80/20 thing, right? It's like, if you get bogged down by all these clients that you don't like and they're pulling your energy and you don't love it, like you're not going to be passionate about your business. And I think in the branditized community, one of the things that I love is like, yeah, we're all focused on helping each other make money, put systems in place, that kind of thing. But we're also focused on quality of life. Like, what's the point? You know, that Miley Cyrus song about like, oh, it's not about getting to the top, it's about the climb or whatever. I
Yeah.
think everyone in this community is really good about that. So niche down to somebody that you love serving. It'll make you happier.
You mean
Um,
speakeasy? I know you're talking about the speakeasy community, of course. I know we're confusing my other agency, Branditizer, with the speakeasy
yes,
community.
sorry, I know.
It's okay. I know we talk about a lot all the time, but yeah, no, you're good.
Exactly. Right there on just on the screen distracting my blonde brain. Yes, the speakeasy community. I think it's everyone's so loving and supportive, but not just about getting your marketing right and your sales right and your conversion right and your fulfillment right, but also about doing it in a way that you get to spend more time with Andrine, Matt, and Ariel and little Sebastian, like that matters to all of us. So I think when you
Totally.
niche down, make that choice wisely. And then when we decided to niche down to that choice, the question became, what is the highest and best service of those people? Because the people who we served and we filled their one-on-one, that was a blessing and a curse, right? Because
Right.
you can only trade so much time for money before you're like, "Pff, shoot me now. What happened to my life?" And what I was witnessing is there were a lot of people in the health and wellness space that were becoming hypocrites while they were trying to fulfill the Hippocratic Oath, right? So here they were making themselves so busy that they were getting sick because they didn't take the time to follow their own advice. And so not only did that affect their health and wellness and have them feel guilty and ashamed inside, like, oh my God, I'm not even having time to do the things I tell my patients to do. So the reason that we made our focus of Heal at Scale, how do we take your superpower? So what you do better than anyone else, you love doing it, you're great at doing it, you have social proof and results that show you've done it, how do we take that thing and then turn it into a scalable asset? And as soon as you take your superpower and you turn it into a scalable asset, the way that I see it is you immediately have three offers for the same single objective that your brand is up to in the world. You have high priced one on one, where you
Mhm.
keep doing what you're doing, trading time for money, but at a much higher price point. And then you have a second tier, which is a live rolling evergreen group program where they have access to you and your content. They still get to see you every week, but it's once a week and you might talk to 200, 1,000 people who are in a group, right? And they still have live access to you. That's your rolling evergreen offer. And then we keep an invisible sort of, I don't know, like a behind the scenes offer that we don't sell to devalue our brand. But if your sales team gets someone on a call and they can sense that the one on one's too high and even the group program, it might get the hard no because they just can't do it. It's brand protective to be able to say, we'll take your brand for as an example. Okay, well, if you can't afford to work with Branditize one-on-one and you can't get into our very stellar community program, then Eric is so committed to you having access to our processes and information. There is a DIY course that you can go through and it's this price. So then the brand still shows up as this, this Joan of Arc for the mission that you're on. And there is like a cost effective option. And then, of course, that third option, if you don't advertise it publicly, it doesn't devalue the brand, right? It doesn't turn you a Tiffany's brand into a Target brand. It doesn't do that, but it does give you a way to recoup all the ad spend and marketing and sales team time that was spent on that person. So maybe you recoup I don't know, an $800, DIY program. Well, heck, that does a lot towards, reimbursing you for the cost of acquisition of that lead. Does that make sense?
Totally, and I love it. To me, like, a lot of that stuff was I think a lot of people have a good sense of that, but just even I think that to me, the learn just there was that don't necessarily publicize your low ticket item. I mean, keep it higher. So that's really the process, and so you're finding people that are stuck, a lot of us. I think now intuitively, when they come to you, they kind of know these things already. Do they have do they have a concept of, "Yes, I should be doing these things, but I just don't know where to start?" Or is a lot of people that when you talk to for the first time are like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize I could do all these things."
Both, but what happens is they come to us and they realize, man, I'm really good at this, right? So it might be someone who's like, oh, I'm really good at optimizing men with peptides and hormones to reach their physical goals. Maybe they even specialize in like the marathon space or the weightlifting space, right? They know that's their avatar. They know they get results. They're freaking good at it, man. They have a ton of testimonials and social proof, but they're starting to feel it. They're like, whoa, this is not sustainable. I've hit a cap. I'm feeling either burnout or a financial cap that I just can't quite bump through it, right? Then that's a sign that it's good for you to leverage what you're doing, and it's good to move into group programs and even that hidden DIY course option, right? So someone has to have confidence and social proof that they're good at what they do before I can help them at all, honestly.
Right.
So this is not for a person who like just graduated from, I don't know, health coaching or just got out of medical school and they haven't cut their chops. They don't know what they're good at. They don't know who they're going to help. They don't have a proven protocol or process or method. That's really not my jam to help those type of people. It's more for people who are like, holy crap, I'm good at this. I'm really good at this. And I've got proof that I'm good at this based on my clients' results, right? And now I'm ready to democratize access to my own brilliance by making a group course available where people can still be with me. Here's the thing. When you put people in a group setting, I think there's this delusion that, well, people who pay me one-on-one, and maybe as a brand leader, you can speak to your thoughts on this, okay? But there can be a delusion that we put ourselves in where we lie to ourselves and say, oh, no, 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 clients would never pay for anything other than one-on-one access to me. That's it, right? No,
Right.
there's no way that they would ever do that. They have to have that. That is absolute 100% bullshit. Because
Yeah.
if you have cred in the space, remember I talked about those 3 levels of reaching the same objective? If you have cred in the space, like me, I have cred in the space for changing the profitability of all those health and wellness brands, right? So if
Right.
people see that and they're like, well, I can't really afford to pay her 10K a month to help me, okay? But I would happily pay 2K a month to be part of a community, bring all of my questions to her at the weekly sessions, and still get my ass kicked by someone who knows what they're doing in the space. Fucking sign me up all day long, right? So
Right.
that's the delusion we can like live under. And then we just keep trying to pile on one-on-one, or maybe we add more team. But I don't know about you, but overseeing a big team, that freaking adds stress to my life. It doesn't necessarily make my life easier at a certain point. Like obviously having your EA, having the help that you need in certain departments, yes, but I have no interest. I like a lean team. I love a
Yeah.
lean team. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So there's
That's
that
like,
delusion.
I love that. It's like myth number one. Like, no, you could still have value. People will still pay. I mean, I would argue, I'd probably go down the path because I see this a lot. Tell me a little bit about imposter syndrome too. You think about even their own pricing. I imagine you probably, what happens when you meet somebody and you look at their pricing? Are you typically, I imagine, pushing it up a little bit? They don't believe they're worth that much. I mean, talk me through
Yeah.
that a little
Yeah, I definitely end up having to do that. And I need to have them bump up their one-on-one pricing in order to make a really attractive price structure for their group program, right? Because even just use my example, if it's 10K to work for me a month and it's 2K, sorry, if it's 10K a month for my private clients to work with me and it's 2K a month for my mastermind members to get their ass kicked and access to all our funnels and ad strategies and everything, right? Then it is the gap between what high-end private clients are paying and what they want access to, right? That gap of that price difference is what makes the working with me in the group setting so much more attractive. Do you
bit.
see it? So if I was to leave my price at 5K or whatever, well, that's still a gap, but it's not as big of a gap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they get imposter syndrome and they get nervous to raise their prices,
Right.
the first thing that I do is ask them to tell me the last success story that they had. So that puts their body in the energy of, oh shit, go and brush my shoulder off. I do get people results, right? It puts them in the right headspace to hear what I have to tell them next. And then after they tell me a win that they've gotten for a client, then I tell them, would you be willing to bump up your price by 30% for the next 3 clients? And after you get 3 yeses, would you bump it up 30% again? And they do it. And I get these hilarious text messages or emails like crying tears of happiness that, like, oh my God, you were right. They didn't even, they didn't bat an eye at the new price,
Yeah. It's we all hear it, but it's just so obvious and it's hard. I think I think that's like again, if you're listening, just go try, go increase your price, like see what happens. Like, and I love the example and the mindset you said. I mean, when you really dissect that, not only the mind you're putting you in that mind space, but I would actually ask the question is, tell me the story of what you did for somebody, and then ask that customer what was that worth to them? What would they have paid for that end result they've had? and they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, that was like worth like 30, $40,000 to me." Like, and you only charge them 5. Like there's a difference there. They would have paid more for that. And I think people don't realize that. I mean, the other thing I've also realized too is that when you're good at that thing, you tend to think that others are kind of okay. Or is it really that good? Is it really that special when you're good at that thing? And we tend to undervalue ourselves for our time for those reasons. And I love that. I think you had some really great tips in there. So thank you for that. That's so great. So let's get into the a couple questions here for you. Was there a moment that you were sort of burnt out? Like, you help a lot of professionals break from the burnout they have. Like, were you burnt out and you found something? Like, how did you get to that point yourself?
Yes, yes, yes. I won't mention any names, but I was working for a very highly regarded wellness professional. And as, being a part of their marketing adventures, I remember that we had just come off a win that was damn near adding $1 million to the bottom line. And at the post, I feel like there needs to be, after the campaign was done, everybody meets. Okay, what did we like doing? What did we not doing? What can we take into the next campaign before you sort of get on the next mission? And the whole sort of assessment of what had happened in the campaign and the success that we had created was damn near stepped over. And like, what are we doing next kind of vibes,
Right.
And I immediately had this sense of like, oh my gosh, like it almost felt a little bit like, when is it ever enough? You know what I mean? Can we take at least 5 minutes and like celebrate the win and take the extractions and learn so that we ever, so that we're always improving our systems and the team is really enjoying the process. And there was something in that moment about it felt honestly like a little bit of a lack of gratitude, a little bit of caring that the team enjoyed the process of making a win at that level for the brand. And that was the time that I just kind of went home and was like, wait a second, like all of what I'm doing, is accessible for way more people than just these really big name clients with big budgets. And
Yeah.
as the universe would have it, right? Because we always get these interesting signs and interesting things that are happening. I
Yep.
was helping another one of my clients, Dr. Sarah Gottfried, with the hormone reset diet campaign, right?
Hmm.
And I had been interviewing all these people who Sarah had gotten amazing results for. And one of the women was talking about her hormone disruption. And she said to me, Joy, I feel like I need to wear one of those white jackets that tie in the back because the emotions that I'm having don't feel like my own. Like I logically know that thing that happened, let's say between her and her husband, was like a 1. I should have reacted on a scale of 1 out of 10, but I reacted like a 15. And I
Hmm.
know that's not me. And as she's telling me the story, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, that is how I feel some days. And other things she was sharing, like her eyebrows slowly disappearing on the outside, all of these things that she was saying, I was like, that's me. And
Hmm.
so I talked to Sarah and she was like, you need to get a functional medicine doctor locally. So I did. And by the way, it was not Sarah who I had this problem with. Sarah's amazing to work with. So I found a local doctor and she helped me with my hormones. She turned it around really quickly. And at my follow-up appointment, I could tell she just looked bad. She was like, bags under her eyes. She looked like she was going to cry. And that's
Wow.
when I asked her, like, hey, girl, like, I feel like you saved my life, my marriage, my sanity. Like, do you mind if I ask you, is everything cool? And, like many of us women will do, if we're holding it all together and someone says, what's going on, then you start crying, right?
Totally.
So, like,
Totally.
the waterworks started happening. And I said, she shared with me, like, man, I'm so good at what I do. I know that I'm so good at what I do. I'm born to do this, but I don't know how the hell to get customers in the door. I don't know how to
Hmm.
hell to help more people. And it was on that day that meeting went awry and I just felt shitty about what was going on with one of my high-end one-on-one clients. And so it was like those two things happening at the same time made me say, I need to democratize access to the knowledge that I have for
Hmm.
marketing and health business strategy. And I need to make it available to all of the hometown health practitioners just like her, and I need to make this available to everybody. And that's when I came home to Travis and I said, hey, I want to change the game. Let's do something different. And he's like, babe, if you believe you need to do that, let's do it and let's give it a go. And let's see if hometown health heroes everywhere are even willing to do that kind of work. And it started, honestly, Eric, as a test. Like, let's just see, let's just play and see if providing that to more practitioners would be of interest. And then it was. And, as soon as we got that to be over $1 million offer, we were like, let's go, let's make this available to everybody.
Of course, obviously, in this case, that whole seat in the back because now the level of appreciation is at a whole different level now. Now it's just like,
Oh my
wow,
god.
this
Yeah,
and then the
because
rewards
you
are
have
there.
some people who, like, you could add 100, 200, 300,000 with a little marketing initiative and they're okay, what's next, you know? As compared to you get an extra 50 grand into a hometown health practitioner's office that's been struggling, you are getting flowers and text messages and you know what I'm like they're crying. They're literally crying happy tears, not because they're sad, but they're like, I never thought this would happen for me kind of vibes. And when you have a whole community of people like that, like of course, like, I jump out of
Amazing.
bed to serve them every morning because it makes my heart, like,
I love it.
sing to do that, you
I
know?
love it. So, a lot of people in our and thank you for sharing that. Like, a lot of people in our audience probably intuitively that aren't doing these things know a lot of these things. What do you
Yeah.
think prevents people from scaling and getting these leverage points? What's getting in their way?
I'd say that there's 2 things. One, they haven't figured out how to cross that great what feels like a great divide from what their superpower is in the one-on-one space over to the bridge where they're one to many, okay? So I think that's a very intimidating bridge. And would it be okay to pause and just give people little pointers on how to do that? So maybe if they're thinking about
Please.
it, they feel
Oh,
brave?
let's
Yeah.
let's do that.
So if you're thinking about making the great leap, right? It feels like it's so far away, okay? If you're thinking about making that leap, here's my double dog dare for you, okay? I want you to take on your next client and I want you to, in your own mind, and if you have a team, have your team do it too, okay? In your own mind, I want you to say to yourself, this person is not one person. This person is 250 people in my group program. And so every asset that you give them, the order that you do everything from your initial intake to the very first steps, I want you to start turning that into a board game, a process, right?
Mm,
Because the moment you take what you do one on one and you start seeing how formulaic the majority of it is,
got
okay? As soon as you treat that one client like 250 people in your group in your first cohort, your brain starts to operate differently, right? It starts to think, oh, okay, I need this as a handout, or I need this as a Google form, or I need this as a whatever, like a Notion board, whatever all the geeky cool shit you use to make sure that you're serving your clients well, you will be surprised at how many of those things are formulaic. And I know that to be true because how unique is the health practitioner's journey in going from one to one to one to many because the human body is so unique and so different. And so if I can help doctors who everybody's body responds differently, right? If I can help doctors take what they do and turn it into a formula, given the uniqueness of the human body and how every human body reacts differently, then I know you can do it in what you do. Okay. So
yeah.
that's my double dog dare for you is take on your next new client and pretend it's 250 people and organize all of your assets into mental blocks for yourself where you can see a straight line and that straight line will be the wire that you walk across to
Love
get
it.
from one to one to one to many.
Love it. No, totally makes sense. You said you had 2 things. Did you have a second one?
Yeah, so that's the first thing is
Okay.
to get yourself together to make the leap from one to one to one to many. The
Okay.
second thing that you have to do is you have to have replicatable systems in place to delegate the things that you currently do and you have no confidence or trust in turning it over to someone else to do the way that you want it to be done and to the level of excellence that you expect it to be done. If you
Mhm.
don't have those two things in play, if you don't have a clarity in how what you do one on one can be done in a one to many format, and you don't have systems in place to delegate when you scale, right? Because if you're burnt out by the handful of clients that you have now, what's going to happen when you have 1,000 people, 2,000 people in your group? Like you
So
absolutely
so
are forced to put
so
systems in place.
let's dig into that because I think if I'm listening to that, obviously I'm here. I'm like, okay, I like what you're saying. I can go down that path. Great exercise. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I don't have the team and staff and all that stuff now because I'm not there yet. So
Yeah.
maybe give me some examples of what would that end look like if you were scaling? What kind of team would I need? What's the assets? Like how seems overwhelming. I don't want employees. I don't want all these people. What does this look
I
like?
get it. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So then my double dog dare for you would be that you go through your next business day. Okay. And as you're going through your next business day, just take a sticky note or whatever you need to do and write down any task that you're doing that you can literally feel in your body that this is not a high ROI task for me to be doing. I'll give you a few examples, okay? You log on to Instagram to do your own post and you find yourself lost an hour later. You know, in your body, you can feel it. You're like, oh shit, I should not be doing this right now. I should actually be doing what I know makes money, right?
Yeah.
That would be an example. Being in, I don't know, like Canva to make some stupid design that you're not a designer. That's another example, right? If you find yourself feeling like, your inbox is distracting you from your to-do list that you know is money-making tasks, then that being in your inbox needs to be something that gets delegated, right? So I want you to keep track of what are the things that you can tell you should not be doing because they're not high ROI tasks, right? So for you, Eric, it's like you doing outreach with other businesses, like that's going to make money in your business. You speaking, that's going to make money in your business. You're writing your book with us in February, right? So you taking the time to write a book that is going to be a very low cost offer in the online space, which will filter out the freebie seekers and the tire kickers and actually get the right people on your list and in your audience. That is a high profit, high ROI use of your time. Do you see what I'm getting? Is that enough examples, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so a real question would be, and again, this is not so much for me, but for the avatar listening and shit, this
Yeah.
way too is I mean, I imagine right now, obviously they can hire people like you and others. Other than that, is it just a matter of like, I guess there probably is a fear out there, and I guess I'll help, part of my answer to my own question would be, the world of AI now is never been a better time to say a lot of these things we're even talking about. It's easy to find somebody to leverage AI to just knock some of the stuff out. You don't have to spend lots of
Exactly.
money to get these things done. And you're right. The things that you're finding yourself spending energy doing when you know you shouldn't do it. And, I always talk about the
Yeah.
genius zone. What's your area of genius? What do you love to do and you're good at? Like stay in that lane,
Exactly.
everything else get off your plate.
Exactly. So let's keep going a little bit because the double dog dare task for those people was just in one business day, notice all the things you know you should not be doing, you hate doing, they're not a good use of your time. Just notice them. And then for each one of those things, if you had a playbook that included, okay, well, for me, like when I have to do any process in my business, a lot of them have an AI process in it, right? Like I have either an AI agent that's built or at a bare minimum, I have a prompt stack to do that, right? So when I recognize a task that I should not be doing, my first order of business, and if you guys have not read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time, it's definitely worth, I recommend you get it on Audible actually, so you can listen to it while you're walking or doing other things. Okay. What he calls it the camcorder method. Okay. I have a slightly different version of it, but like he calls it the camcorder method. As soon as I see something that I know I should not be doing, it's not a good use of my time, I immediately fire up my recording system on my desk. I do a little video and I'm like, okay, I log in here and then I do this and then I run this prompt and here's what I do with the answer and here's how I filter it. And then I come back into this Asana task and every little piece of any task that bugs the shit out of me, I make a playbook for it. So for me, I'll give you an example of one of my playbooks, okay? I don't mind doing my one content video a week. So every Tuesday at 10 a.m., I do a restream. It goes live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all that shit, right? So I don't mind doing that. I love doing it. It's great.
Mhm.
But you know what I don't like doing? Like being responsible for that video being spliced and diced and quote cards pulled and carousels made and it's on LinkedIn and it's on right, all the shit that has to happen for that one piece of content to have all the assets that make it a rotatable piece, like an asset for my business that can be not just released this week, but also brought back a month from now or 3 months from now or 6 months from now so that I have really good content in rotation. I hate that. I hate it. I know it's not my excellence. It's not my zone of genius. And so I have one playbook called the Interest Compounding Playbook. And the
Okay.
Interest Compounding Playbook walks my EA step by step through the process of taking the transcript of that video. Like they just go to the video, they pull the transcript, they drop it into an AI agent, it turns it into the YouTube description, it starts doing the video, like everything, that whole entire process to turn it into a shit ton of content to be rotated through. That's an example of a playbook. So I did it. You know what I mean? I know how to do it. I don't like to do it. I don't want to do it. It's not a good use of my time. So I do it one time. I film it. I have a Google Doc that is a playbook for it and a tutorial video for her that's in that top of that doc. And she does it all of it,
Yep. Amazing.
all of it. So your job, double dog dare you, notice what you shouldn't be doing, and then make a playbook for all of those things. And I know it will be frustrating to make that little playbook, but you guys, here's an AI hack for you. If you do a Loom video or however you want to record, you can do a Zoom clip, you can do whatever you have easy access to recording. Don't fret about the technical side of recording, okay? But I want you to be able to do that recording where you're sharing your screen and you show exactly what to do and how to do it and how you want it done perfectly your way, where you're in a little bubble up here in the corner. You guys know what I mean, okay? When you're done with that video, I want you to grab the transcript of that video and drop it into AI and tell the AI, I want you to act like an organized systems creator for the world's leading businesses. And I would like you to create an SOP, a standard operating procedure, so that I can have my team take this over. And it will make you a step by step by step by step by step by step by step. And it might be 80, 90% right. And you might have to make a tiny little bit of edits. And then I recommend that you add links, right? So in my interest compounding playbook, I add the link to my Heal at Scale YouTube channel so she can do it really fast. I add the link to my Canva folders for the right thing so she can get to it really fast. I make it easy, right? I try to save her time. But that playbook is done in a matter of minutes as a result of the transcript from that video. Does that help, Eric?
No, I love it. No, I love it. You're right. I mean, these are things, it's just do it. If you're pushing us, we got to get it done. And for you listening, if you're there, you're still stuck. Hopefully that helps. Now you threw in something. I'm going to kind of turn directions a little bit. You planted a seed there, and I'm going to, selfishly, I should say I'm excited because next month I'm going to be going to another program because you were building out, thinking of all your systems and tools. You guys are so good at building systems and tools for people. You've got a great system and tool for writing, not only writing a book and putting a book together, because there's a lot of them out there, but
Yeah.
being able to put a book together with the landing pages, with the best-selling offer, with the lead magnets. And I'm going to then segue into the other thing that you and I have been talking about, which is the
Yeah.
concept of, attracting buyers, not, we're going to talk about attracting buyers, not borrowers. And one of the biggest things you learned over the last year. So I'm kind of melding in a couple concepts here is,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about just the concept of how you're doing, helping people write the book and the importance of getting a book out there and why we should all be doing this in some form or fashion, how to leverage it properly. And then we'll
Yeah.
turn into the last topic.
Yeah, and they kind of go together. They
Great.
definitely go, these 2
Perfect.
topics go together. So, basically, in the last year, and I might be merging these 2 topics together a little bit, so forgive
Oh,
me
good.
if I set this up of why we even had to create a book writing process. So, I just wanna make
Love
it
it.
clear why we even went down that avenue. We were finding that certainly in the last half of last year, but honestly all of 2025, what we were finding was an extreme drop in the quality of audiences and email list members. And so, as I started digging into it and I started talking to all the people I know on all the different platforms who have anything to do with any of the algorithms, anything to do with running ads, anything to do with the way that those free platforms work, what I started to suss out is the better the algorithms get at doing their job. Okay, so we should pause here for a second and say, what is the algorithm's job, right? The algorithm's job is to keep you on the platform to satisfy the advertisers
Right.
who spend money on those platforms because all of those free platforms are ad supported.
Keep me on my Instagram for an hour, like the example you said earlier. The algorithm was winning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they not only want to keep you, the user, on the platform, who do they want to make happy? Who are those algorithms
Yeah.
really in
Yeah.
service of?
Yeah.
The advertisers, exactly. And so if we know the core mission of those self-improving, self-learning algorithms is make our advertisers more money and do that based on predicting their behaviors, then doesn't it make sense that an algorithm that complex would be able to differentiate a user that likes to watch video? We know that it can do that because we can buy video view ads, right? We know that we can also run conversion ads. So it knows which people like to opt in for things, right? We can also run direct sales ads. So it knows which users are actually buyers, right? So if we lean into all the crazy nuance the algorithm understands about each user, and we know that the algorithm's sole purpose is to make more money for the advertisers, okay? Keep people on the platform, yes, but for what end? To make more money from the advertisers. If we take all of that logic to heart, then what we know is if we spend money trying to attract audiences who will opt in for free stuff, right? Your free guide, your free webinar, your free checklist, all free console, all that free stuff, then what you are doing is growing an audience, downloaders of freebie seekers, right? And not necessarily downloading an audience of people who are buyers. So, in taking all this to heart, we just sort of ran an experiment. Okay, let's do it ourselves. And then when we had success, we told our members, and then they started doing it. We started a difference there. Okay, drastic difference. Okay. So, what we started noticing is if we went from, yes, we still do free content on free platforms. Okay. I'm not saying that there's not a place for your free opt ins and your free lead magnets. There is. And just so we don't step over that, I'll tell you where that is. If you're on someone else's podcast, yeah, give away your free lure and get that email list growth from that. That's amazing. If you're speaking on stage and they let you say, then yeah, get the list growth from that. But what I'm specifically talking about is going free content on free platforms. Stop going from free content on free platforms to free lead magnets, free webinars, and start filtering out the freebie seekers by going free content on free platforms that leads to an entry level offer, right? I'm talking about your low ticket offer, you guys. So in our world, there were 3 that performed the best. Do you want me to tell your people what they are?
Yes, I'm saying please inform me. Yeah, and I think just to clarify the last point, go from free to paid. But I think that a lot of it is that I imagine you're going to talk about the time frame to go from free to paid, because a lot of what we've been told for years in the marketing world is get your lead magnet, nurture them for a while, and eventually try to get that low ticket offer. I think what you're talking about is condensing that time to get the buyer faster, right? Is that what we're going to get into? And then now you're talking about how.
It depends who you listen to, because the times, they are a changing. Okay. So there's 2 things I would say about that. One, there are 4 personality types, right? And 2 of the 4, the competitive and the spontaneous, they buy fast. Like, some buyers are fast buyers. And if we're ignoring that, we're being idiots. If we
Yep.
like, would you like to have a 1-year nurture cycle, or would you like a buyer in a day? You know what I mean? Like, if my buyer wants to buy from me today, I'm fucking fine with that. Like, let's go. Let's get shit done. Let's earn you more money, right?
Let's stop thinking that everybody thinks like we do. We all think differently, and there are the different personalities.
And
Yep.
then if you lean into some of the amazing marketing coaching from people like Talkie Moore, they're having really interesting conversations in the space that I admire and I find to be true. That it's not the duration of time between when they find us and they buy that we've been focusing on. How long is that nurture sequence? How long does it need to be? It's how much content that they consume. So if I can get someone to consume 12 hours of content in 2 days because they binged my shit on YouTube and they loved it, I'm going to get a buyer in a couple of days. So we
Right.
really need to be a little bit more focused on, hey, how quickly can we get them binging on the good stuff, instead of how long do we need to kiss their ass until they decide we're good enough to work with.
No, I love it. I mean, it's something that, I've been thinking a lot about lately too. It's like you got to give them enough really, really good meat, really high quality content, but it's got to be not too much. If it's too much,
Yeah.
they don't get to the end, and we think we're delivering so much value. Hey, I'm giving them so much stuff. They should buy from me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but they haven't gone past the first, you know, 10% of all the crap you gave them, the good crap you gave them. But yeah, no, I love it.
Exactly. And
Okay.
honestly, I think it's worthwhile to mention that there was a nugget that I got from Laurel Portier, who I love her content on Facebook ads. If you guys don't know who she are, she's really smart woman. I love what she does. And what I took away from her, many things, but the one thing that you need to know about this is I stopped having the team build out a lure. Like, I call it a lure. You guys probably call it a lead magnet, an opt-in, or whatever. I stopped doing as much of that before I have this little interim step of, if I'm going to do free content on free platforms, and then I've chosen to make my first opt-in a paid opt-in instead. Like, I want that first tiny little sale. And I'll circle back and I'll tell you the 3 ways that I find the 3 low ticket offers that I think perform the best. Okay. But instead of like just going cold turkey, breaking the habit of having them opt in for a free lure and then nurturing them, what I did as a stopgap to test things out actually got me a shit ton more engagement. Okay. And what I did was, instead of building out the whole funnel with the opt in page and the delivery and the nurture emails, I would just do free content and free platforms. And then I would say, hey, if you want this spreadsheet, if you want that, DM me the word such and such, one word trigger, like set up a Manny chat or do it on your Go High level, right? If you want this, I'll give it to you. No opt in, no nothing. I'm not going to follow you with a bunch of emails for a while. Just DM me the word calendar and I'll give you my marketing planning calendar or whatever, right? And so what that did, Eric, was it had so much more engagement with my site. Then they would follow me and then they would DM me and then they would send me the word. And then now that they've DM'd me, guess what I can do or my team can do because I have a playbook for it? Sell by chat. I can get them talking about themselves and their problems and say, hey, do you want some help with that? Right. So, like, the whole thing of like, we got to the sale faster than some 6-12 month nurture. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Well, in that, if I break down the psychology of what you're saying, I mean, I love the mini chat too. It's something we're doing a lot more of as well. But I think you gave them something. You teased them with something cool. You delivered it immediately. It wasn't an overwhelming thing. It was like a cool tool or a cool hack. They looked at it, and now you're engaging, but you're listening. You're giving something more important than something. Is you're giving them the ability to, wow, so I'm being heard and somebody cares about me.
I
And
get them talking about themselves.
that's right. That's right. So you're being so that and that's a huge gift. You're exactly. And somebody's listening, somebody cares, and they're actually it's a micro commit of time, and they're feeling that dopamine hit of somebody actually listening to them. So now you sort of I could see how you've decreased the timeline from how much time until they're ready to buy from you or trust you and all that. And you're giving value. I mean, you're giving. It's not like you're just doing Houdini on them. You're giving them real stuff. So
And there's something else that you might have missed, but I want your audience to know.
yeah,
I'm sort of taking advantage of the fact that they're tired of our bullshit marketing with our 6-month nurtures and like sending them all this spam that they don't want.
yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm also kind of making it a positive that like they don't have to deal with that stuff,
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
just authentic. Look, I'm not going to follow you. Just do this if you want it. Great.
If you
It's
wanna
totally
agree,
real.
let's chat, whatever, and do some people just take it and run? Yeah, fucking fine, no worries, but do some people engage and love it and tell me about what's going on? And then, of course, I have a sell by chat playbook for my people to do this for me, so I don't have to do a lot of that, but that getting them talking about themselves and being real about what's going on in their business and having straightforward conversations, that's like, I can close in chat sometimes, I don't even have to do the consult.
Yeah, I love the psychology of it because there's a little bit of I don't really need you. Like here you go, but I don't need you. Like it's almost like I'm thinking the whole you're not chasing me down that to thing. You're still the prize because here you go, and I don't really need. You want to come back to me, great, still here.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, so I promise to tell you, when
What you
we
want?
started discovering this, okay, so if the algorithms can tell if we're a downloader of free
Yeah,
things or if we are a buyer of things to actually solve our problems, if the algorithm can tell that, then it makes way more sense for me to dedicate the vast majority of my ad spend to an entry level offer rather than to a free thing. Now, to be transparent, that doesn't mean I don't spend money on like video view ads to get a pixeled audience or something like that. That's true. But I would much rather have the bulk of my ad spend go towards, okay, I did free content on free platforms and I'm going to make a paid invite, a low, very low, not a book like this book is $9.95 when they buy it from me and they get all this AI toolkit shit to help them. And it's like way gangster. They could buy it on Amazon if they wanted. When they buy it from me, they get better stuff, right? So I'm asking for a very small investment, right? And the quality of leads behind a $9.95 barrier is infinitely better than everybody who's opting in for a free webinar about how they should be doing what I'm telling people to do in this book. Like it's night and day, Eric. It's like it's just the difference is insane. You know what I
just
mean?
just
And
to get that for the 9.95, they get that right away. But how quickly are you selling them the next thing after that?
oh my god, dude. Well, when the ads first launched, we were at a put a dollar in, get 475 out, right? But that is a factor of the funnel that we build, right? We This is not our first fucking rodeo. We've been marketing for a while, so we know we have that 9.95. We have a bump offer with the audiobook and then there's a one-time offer upsell after that. So like again, it's not our first rodeo. We know how to do marketing campaigns so that the front end client acquisition is
Yeah,
I'm happy if the front end client acquisition is break even because then I'm growing my list with good leads.
right,
Because
right.
I think that where people get disheartened with their marketing and they start to hate their own audience is because they put too much time and energy into content that basically sets them up in the marketing and business equivalent to a romantic relationship of landing in the fucking friend zone. Like what they want is to be with the girl and they end up in the friend zone, right? So
Right,
like
right, right.
they can inadvertently do that if they do all this free content and the free webinars and free books and free opt-ins and all of that. They can end up in the friend zone with where their audience is, well, I can just milk this brand for as much free stuff as I can. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
you're training them just to you're gonna get more free stuff. Just wait.
Exactly, exactly. Which means you're also making fulfillment a lot harder for yourself because you're bringing in a ton of clientele that is reluctant to pay for the solutions that they need. They're reluctant to pay for solving the problems that they have. And that's not what we want. We want proactive, willing to invest clients. So it grooms the clients right from the beginning that
That's right.
you are someone who they're worth investing in. So it was the book. That's my number one highest converting. So of the three, if you're going to go from paid, you're going to do free content on free platforms, but you're going to make that small initial investment. Hey, buy just this small, inexpensive thing for me to get this result, right? The book is number one because the price point is so low, right? Because we can sell a book at $9.95 with an upsell, downsell, and we can have a CAC that's amazing, right? Our customer acquisition costs, for those of you who don't know, right? Our customer acquisition costs can be we can get leads for free, you guys, seriously, okay? So book is number one because of the price point and because it establishes you as a leader. It might seem cheesy, you guys, but even just having a book out, like I just got featured in an MSN 10 leaders in the health medicine space or whatever, right? For all because of that book. And like, I didn't do anything extra. I didn't do whatever. I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time. And it was the stupid book that had people be like, yeah, like all of a sudden we should talk about this person, So for whatever reason, society just gives you more cred when you have a book. Okay. And you guys, it's not your life story. It's like intentionally a client acquisition book, which is a completely different formula than, just having fun writing a book, doing it for your ego. It's a completely different game, you guys. So book is number one. The other thing that works really well for that initial paid transition is a paid workshop. Like something where you take the whole mountain you help them climb, and what's one task you can accomplish on the way up that mountain? Like think of it like base camps. A workshop should be something that gets them to one base camp, one success step on the way. And if you can get people into a paid workshop, Taki Moore is doing this. Like go check out what he's doing. It's amazing. And he does them. We have had great success with $95 workshops and they accomplish one clear thing. And it's a get shit done session. It's not a webinar. It's not a sales tactic. Now, do we make sales from it? Hell yeah, we do, because they're like, oh, if she could help me accomplish this in 3 hours, what could I do if I was with her in her mastermind for the year and had access to all of her funnels and ad strategies and everything, right? So do we make sales? Yeah. But for those of you who don't like hard selling, you're setting yourself up to win. You know what I mean?
Well, the secret behind that too, I think, and I'm stepping on your toes here a little bit, but to me, when you say that is, I love how you said it's a get shit done workshop, meaning back to the other thing, where you're giving somebody something for free or even a book to some degree, they still have to consume it. And we're waiting for them to consume it before really our best bet is to sell them right after they consume it. Now, if you're
Yeah.
helping them consume and they're basically paying you, and now you're helping them to get to the end point and consume, they're ready to buy. Like you've already achieved
They're
that.
ready.
Yeah.
Exactly. And for us, like full transparency on ours, so you can see the inner workings here. For those of you who don't know Travis Houston, he's a genius in the AI and in the agentic AI space specifically. And so when they come to those workshops, their minds are blown that I'm walking them through an agentic process, like an AI agent process. And it goes from step 1 to 2 to 3 and it builds on each other. And they end with an amazing asset or thing accomplished. And it's done in that 3-hour workshop. And then we wrap up by, okay, well, now it's done. Like we did one where they were creating their entire offer document. And then we wrapped up with, okay, why don't we have some fun and make all your emails and your social media promotions in just 5 minutes? Shall we do it? And of course, they're like, oh my God, yes, let's do it, So because we've leaned into the AI agent space, because I have Travis in my world, keeping me in the forefront of all of that, he can show up and blow their minds on how much we can accomplish in such a little amount of time.
Yep. Yep. Love it.
Okay, but there was 3, I promise to tell you all. So in our world, the 3 best performing things when you want to go from free content on free platforms to a small paid invitation was number 1 was the book by far. Number 2 was the workshop where they're actually accomplishing something. That's the ticket there. They have to get something done and have a positive experience with you. And the third one in my world that works for practitioners is a lab test. Right. And that's what this book was about, was the wild financial successes when practitioners started saying, hey, instead of trying to sell some 10K 3-month program with people, if they offered the lab, they said, hey, but you don't even know if you need this. Right. So they could have a conversation about someone's pain or symptoms and say, it very may well be your hormones or your immune system or your metabolics or whatever. How about if I give you access to this lab test? Well, that meant instead of them making that huge 10K investment, they're just making a couple $100 investment in a functional or precision test. They see the test results. The test results help them close the sale. Bob's your uncle. Sales are going crazy. It's bananas. It's fun. So, because so many practitioners in my community were just slaying it profitability wise from that, that's how come I ended up writing the book. And where these things dovetail is having a book. It was the number one way to make the low ticket sale. That was the number one way. And then in order to write my own book, I partnered with Travis to create an AI powered process to make a sales conversion book, like a book that was focused on addressing the problem in the market, presenting a clear solution for that market, and then showing how you walk through that market with case studies and testimonials that kind of prove it, and then calling them to action to implement that. And then, of course, there's a natural inherent, well, I would like to do it with you. And then, so the book becomes an acquisition tool. So, in order to write my own book, I partnered with Travis about the prompt sets that I was using and the refining tools I was using. And he helped me turn it into an that made it possible for people to get a client acquisition book done in a matter of days. And then we layered on tools where we could have AI help us decide, well, when we go to publish on Amazon, wouldn't it be nice to have the sort of gangster behind the scenes numbers on what category can we choose to debut in such that we are almost guaranteed to be number one because there's only so many, like we're basically showing up as a really big fish in a small pond. So we know we're going to end up as number one. And Travis, he's like such a research and such a systems guy. He's like, I can hack this, I can do it. And so he was able to come up with also an AI powered tool that helps us determine which category do we want to debut in so we can grab that screenshot of our book being number one. And I'll tell you, I was nervous. Is this going to work? But in the last cohort, it's called Book to Buyer Blueprint, that offer that we have. Everybody who published on Amazon using his process got to number one with their book, like without fail. So I was like, okay, awesome. This is so cool. So fun.
I love it. And so for that, just to close the loop, so for those listening, yeah, so excited. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. And I get the honor and privilege I was able to get the last spot at your upcoming event in about 6 weeks. We're having this podcast will come out probably 6, 7 weeks. So when you're listening to this, DM me or message me and ask me how the process went. I'll tell you all about it. Hopefully by then I'll be asking big favors for you to buy my book that we get out there. But anyway, title TBD and the whole flow to BDT, probably somewhere around networking and community. We'll get there. But anyway, I'm excited to see the process
Yeah.
firsthand. Last, before I get to it, I'm taking a lot of your time. I've gone over time here. We have a fun time. Travis, you, my wife, and I just getting together, hanging out. You guys have great personal hacks, and I've always been interested in. And you guys have something cool that I'm jealous. Love to get in there, figure it out. You guys have something called, and you and your husband work together a lot, something called Thrive Week. So tell us about Thrive Week on a personal side, why you love it, and share.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so first of all, credit where credit is due. This comes from Nick Peterson, who wrote a book called Bumpers. You can get it on Amazon if you want to find it. It's a tiny little book, but I'll give you the nutshell about it. I found out about this process. I mentioned Laurel Portier, who's amazing in the Facebook ad space, especially if you want to learn how to run your own ads when you're getting started. So I was working with her, and she had this last week of the month where she just didn't show up. There were no calls, no nothing. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And she set it up as, well, this is your time to go do what I taught you to do. Basically, like, okay, I can only teach you so much. If you don't implement, then you're not going to get the results anyway. So it was queued up in a way that I was like, oh, that's really genius. And I was scared shitless, but I was determined to try it with our community. Like, are they going to have a heart attack? Is everybody going to quit? Are they all going to leave?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we implemented it slowly. So we started there's so many weeks in a month. We started by taking off the last Friday, then Thursday, then Wednesday. And before you know it, the whole last week of the month, we do not deliver. So we deliver fulfillment in our mastermind and any of our group programs. We deliver week 1, 2, and 3. And then the last week, sometimes there's 5 weeks in a month. So sometimes it's 2 weeks off at the end of the month. We do not deliver. They go, they implement, and they love it. Okay. Not only do they feel like they get stuff done and get caught up, so they never waste their investment in us. Because it's a fire hose of good information around here because we're keeping people like, okay, this ad's firing on all cylinders. This process is, we just did this with our EAs. We're constantly giving them all the nuggets that we find in our business, in our private client businesses. So it can be like a fire hose. So that time off, they reported back to me, that gap gives me the time to feel like I'm not wasting my investment in being in this community because I always have a little bit of time to catch up and implement. And if I didn't have that, I would feel bowled over by everything that you give me, and I would feel like I was wasting too much of it.
Hmm.
So those last week or week, 2 weeks of the month, that's when Travis and I take our vacations. That's when we sometimes, like, if we need to film a new product or if I need to write another book or whatever, like, we take that time. We see it in the whole calendar year. We know exactly when it's coming. And that's how we stay really passionate about what we do. We don't want to burn ourselves out so bad that we don't love working for our people.
So I love that. It's brilliant. And is that you guys do your own implementations that week too then? So obviously vacations, but also is that the week when you guys are taking all the learnings you're having from your conferences and things you guys go to integrate?
Exactly.
Got it. So I love that. I think
Exactly.
for anybody listening, I mean, that's, Thrive Week, Implementation Week, whatever it is. I'm in my head. I'm like, geez, okay, that's interesting. Just I'm going to have my Thrive Week when I'm with you out in Vegas doing my book, because that'll essentially be an implementation week, shutting off the noise of everything else in my world. I am scared, as you know, that's my biggest fear. But customers, if this comes up before and you can't hear from me that week, that's why. I love it. So, what is there anything else out there? I mean, you sent so many amazing nuggets. Thank you so much.
The only thing I would want to share with your people, Eric, is we're all in this together, right? So speakeasy, like, you can find me, you can find Travis. Like, if there's something that we said here today that you're like, tell me more, we're better together. Reach out. Just let
That's
me
right.
know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, and that's what you said, like, what is your favorite thing about Speakeasy? Travis, and I know Travis has been a lot more kind of as helping me out in San Diego, and you've been there guesting as often as you're able to, we get you out there. But what do you like about the community?
I love that better together vibes. Like,
Better
I
together.
love it. I love that there's people who will come and rather I'm gonna just share, like, I have been in masterminds where my experience is, man, I know that guy just had a stellar launch or a stellar ad campaign. Like, I know through the grapevine that something's popping off in their business really well. Why are they not sharing that in the mastermind? Like, why are they not sort of opening up the closet and letting us see, like, how it, like, we're all here to, rising tide lifts all ships kind of vibes. And, people want to keep things close to the vest. I get it. Like, competition vibes. I don't think that is necessary. I think that, like, I'm in my lane. If I shared anything today that helps somebody in speakeasy, like, make more money, have a better life, like, yay, let's go. Like, take what works for me and run with it. And that willingness to share successes, even share pain points that might protect someone, that's the best. That's the best part of
Awesome.
it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And we're better together with you. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for coming in today. And glad we made it happen. And looking
Yeah.
forward to our next adventures together. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, Joy.
All right. Give my love to Ariel and Lil Sebastian and Andrina. I miss them.
I
See you
will.
soon.
And of course, Scuttle Bark can be on the scene. Sorry about that. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
All right. And say hi to Trav and Joy, and we'll talk soon. And that's a wrap from the Speakeasy Podcast. If something sparked for you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, review it, and pass it to the one person who needs to hear this right now. Want in on the real mastermind? Tap the link in the show notes to apply. Until next time, keep scaling, stay sharp, and don't be the smartest one in the room.